Hi, Dave Jones here again. We're going to look at a power chord song today, just to for people who haven't done power chords before. It's a bit of a sort of beginner power chord lesson. There are some lessons up on. There is a lesson up on power chords on the website, so check it out and it will help along with this. But this song's called "Brain Stew." It's by a band called Green Day. It's probably one of the easier power chord songs that you'll come across. So it's a good way to get you started into power chords. What I'll do is I'll play you through it, and then I'll do a close up and explain some stuff that's going on. So those of you who've already played power chords before can just go away, and you'll be able to do it quite easily. And those of you who've never done it, I'll add a few little bits and stuff at the end. So what we'll do, I'll just play through the song first, and then we'll carry on. Okay, so here's the song's a repeating 4-bar sequence all the way through. So I'll play it a couple of times, and then we'll look at it closely. And that's basically the whole song. It did various intensities of distortion in the song, but that is the whole song. There isn't anything else in it. So what I'm doing there is I'm playing power chords. They're written out. There's a tab for it up on the site as usual. First chord we're playing is an A5. Power chords are written as a 5 quite often because they've got the root note and the fifth of that scale in the chord, and that's all they've got in them usually. So what we're doing is playing A5, followed by G5, followed by F sharp 5, F sharp power chord, followed by F5, E. So I'll just show you a reasonable. I can't get too close because obviously I've got to show you 5 frets, but I'll show you a reasonable close up, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it. Okay, so here's a relative close up. What we're doing, we're starting with the first finger on the fretting hand on the 5th fret of the thick E string. And we're going to have our 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the A string, and you're going to play both strings together. I'll talk a little bit about damping in a minute, but just for the minute, that's your A5. Your root note's coming on the 5th fret. Like I say, there is a lesson in power chords up on the site, but your root note's coming off of the thick E string. I'm going to play that twice. Then we're going to move to the 3rd fret and 5th fret respectively. First finger on the 3rd fret, that's the G note, gives you the G power chord. Play that twice. Then we're going to move back 1 fret to 2 and 4. First fingers on the E string at the 2nd fret, 3rd fingers on the A string at the 4th fret. I'm going to play that twice. That's your F sharp. And then we're going to move back to frets 1 and 3. First finger on the fret 1, that's your F note. And there's your F power chord, play that twice. And then we're going to move to E5. Now for E5, we're going to have an open string, the thick E string open, for those, and the 2nd fret of the A string. And play that twice. Now when you're moving from the F5, you might find it easier to use your 2nd finger, or either way is absolutely fine, it's optional. So, and it's slightly faster, that it goes 1 hand and then a rest for 2 and then 3 hand and then a rest for 4, and then you come back to the 5th fret. Okay, so that's the idea with the song. Now, with some people play power chords, as I've mentioned on the lesson, with 3 fingers. That's absolutely fine. I prefer the sound of 2 fingers, fingers 1 and just getting what's called the root and the 5th in. Some people, the grungier bands like Green Day, for example, and bands like Blink-182, use 3-string power chords where they hold the D. Well, if they're coming off the E string, they hold the D string down at the 7th fret as well, and that it's still a power chord. It's still only got 2 notes in it, the root, the 5th and the octave. They're the same notes as each other, octave apart, and just gives it a sort of a heavier, thicker sound. So the other thing is, we're doing these power chords, if you can, try and leave, when we're starting on the 5th fret there, if you can leave your 1st finger, hold down the thick E string with your 1st finger, and leave the rest of the fingers touching the strings very lightly, so they should all be dead, apart from the 1st string. And that way, when this finger's on here, those 2 will ring, but you could hit all of them, and you're only getting those 2 ringing. It's a technique called fretting hand damping. If you can't do that yet, if you're totally new to power chords, don't worry about it too much, just be careful about what strings you hit. And the other thing I'll quickly do is I'll just stop this and I'll just tell you about why this is quite a good power chord song. Okay, hi, back again. I'm just gonna just for this will be for the real beginners. I mean, most of you probably have disappeared by now because you've kind of cracked the song already. But for people who've never played power chords before, one of the reasons this is a really good song is it plays the notes, and then there's a gap, an actual gap of silence. So you've got time to move from one fret to the other, which is quite a difficult thing to do if you've never done it before, and keeping your fingers, because as you move up the guitar, or the frets get further apart. As you move down, obviously they get nearer together. So although you've got to stay the same relationship with your fingers, either i.e. a one fret gap, it gets further apart or closer together depending on where you're moving. So it's quite a difficult thing just to get used to the moving idea. And the silence is created by either slightly lifting these fingers off, so you don't pull them away from the strings because you get an overring, which is probably a more difficult technique to master for you to start with. So if you're new to power chords, I've got some other videos up on the low E, 12 bar blues in E and 12 bar blues in A on fretting hand damping. But basically, if you can see this, what I'm doing is I'm resting this hand at the bridge. Gives a more dead sound than. And what you can do is push it slightly harder, and that'll kill it as well. So so you ring the strings, and then I'm using the karate chopping part. Let me get it in shot of this hand to kill the strings, to silence them while I move. So I hope you found that useful. It's a very good song for, like I say, it's very repetitive, so you'll learn it very quickly, and it's a very good song for introduction to power chords. I'll put some new songs up with slightly more complicated power chord songs in the near future, hopefully. So hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again.